Super Mario, Metroid, and The Legend of Zelda. Individually, they could be seen like the Triforce of Wisdom, Power, and Courage. Together they formed Nintendo's Big Three game series that made the NES an unstoppable force in the 1980s. What's interesting to note is that 2/3 of this Triforce of games was the creation of the legendary Shigeru Miyamoto. Every hardcore Nintendo fan, as well as those familiar with the gaming industry, know that he either created or was a key player in almost every single Nintendo first and second party release. Some of these include, of course, Super Mario Bros., Legend of Zelda, and Metroid, Donkey Kong, Excite Bike, Ice Climber, and Kid Icarus, F-Zero, Pilot Wings, and Star Fox, 1080 Snowboarding, Wave Race 64, Pikmin, Nintendogs, and of course, all the Wii branded games. Wii Fit, Wii Music, hey, everybody has an off day every now and then. Wii Party, Wii Play, Wii Play Motion, Wii Sports, and Wii Sports Resort. But there is a Miyamoto creation that Nintendo fans, or at least those in North America anyway, may not be familiar with. And that game is called Devil World. Devil World? Yep, Devil World. Let's take a look at this game. Here's the box art, very colorful. On the back, not so much, just some Japanese text that I can't read yet. Let's take a look and see what we get inside here. Remove the plastic tray. Here's the instruction manual. And the cartridge. This obviously is a Famicom game. And this one has a blue cartridge. Famicom cartridges were multicolor, depended on the game, and this particular one was blue. So Devil World was released only in Japan and Europe for the Famicom in 1984, and if it had been released in North America, it probably would have been one of those original black box games that I've done a video on. But why wasn't it released in North America? That's the question. And that has to do with the game's story. So let's take a look at the manual here. Open it to the middle where most of the graphics are. Player 1 controls a character called Tamagon. He's a green dragon character that hatches from this egg here. And the story goes that Tamagon has taken it upon himself to descend into hell to conquer the devil and take over the place. The game is 2-player, and the second player would control a red Tamagon versus the one player's green Tamagon. And you can see the pixel art right here. And you can also see right next to him the religious iconography, which was the main reason that Nintendo of America refused to release this game in North America. Back in the 80s, and even today to a certain degree, Nintendo is very strict about the content that it would allow in the games released in the region. And that's mainly just to maintain Nintendo's family-friendly portrayal that they wanted to keep up. So, while this religious iconography may have been seen as offensive in the United States, from what I've read in Japan, it seems that including such things are almost considered as stylish. So it wasn't nearly as big of a deal in Japan or in Europe as it was in the United States. But that's the reason US players never saw a release of Devil World. On the following page you can see some more graphics, pixel art of the characters. Of course, in the upper left here, that's the devil. And then the other characters are his minions that Tamagon fights by either avoiding them or breathing fire at them, as you can see here in this picture. And that's what we'll get into in the gameplay. Alright, so Tamagon hatches from his little egg right there, and he sees that hell looks a lot like Pac Man, really.
Upon a first look, it would seem that this game is a ripoff of Pac Man, and it might be, but there are some very different play mechanics that do set it apart. The first of which is the devil up at the top of the screen. What he does is he manipulates the two borders on the right and left. You see they look kind of like rolling tubes. The screen scrolls from left to right and even from top to bottom, which really increases the difficulty. Because like Pac Man, Tamagon does go around the maze, but there is an increased chance that he will be squashed if he gets caught between the moving border and one of the maze walls, as he goes around collecting the pellets that do look a lot like the pellets from Pac Man. But another difference to this game is that in order to collect the pellets and also to breathe fire with either the A or B button, you need to be carrying a cross to protect yourself. And there are various crosses throughout the stage, and so long as Tamagon is able to push a cross along, he can pick up the pellets and he can defeat the bad guys with his fire breath. And the particular round ends when you collect all the different pellets, just like right now. Alright, well, Tamagon hatches from his little green egg and begins the second part of the first round. Each round in the game is divided into 3 parts. This second part has Tamagon going around the maze, collecting 4 Bibles in each of the corners, and you have to be careful not to get squashed along the way or touch one of the enemies. As long as you're pushing one of the Bibles, you can of course breathe fire, as you could as if you were pushing one of the crosses in the first part of the stage. The goal in the second part is to get each Bible and push it towards the seal in the center of the maze. And there are various seals, because sometimes they get scrolled off the screen due to whichever way the devil pushes it. So even if one seal gets pushed off the screen, a new one will eventually scroll onto it. And the particular part of the round ends once you're able to push all 4 Bibles into the seal. And the quicker you can do it, the more points you earn. Okay, Tamagon hatches from his green egg in the last part of each round, which is called Bonus Box. Nothing to collect in this one except for 4 Bibles on each of the 4 corners of the screen. The tough part is that there are arrows along the ground in the maze, and every time you walk over one of the arrows, you're going to change the direction that the screen scrolls, depending on which way the arrow goes. I've yet to be able to collect all 4 Bibles, just because I'm not very good, as you can see here. But supposedly, once you collect all 4 Bibles, you get all the bonus points in the bonus box. So as Tamagon hatches from his little egg at the beginning of round 2, he's going to start the same cycle of 3 different types of stages over again, but with a little bit of increased difficulty. You can see this maze has more pellets, it's a bit more complex, and for whatever reason there's been a palette swap from blue to black, at least in the background. Did you hear that? You may recognize that pause sound from Super Mario Bros. It really is amazing the similarities between this game and all the other black box games. But I wish this had been released in the United States, but I'm glad to have my hands on it now. It really is a fun game.